These are the specialized agencies of the United Nations. WIC, World Health Organization. This is the United Nations agency responsible for coordinating global public health. It formed on April 7, 1948 in Geneva. It now unites 194 member states behind a $6.834 billion program budget. The organization alone can declare a public health emergency of international concern, forcing every capital into synchronized action. On March 11, 2020, Director General Tedros Adhanom Ghebreyesus labeled COVID-19 a pandemic and activated the global response that later powered COVAX vaccine deployments. Coordinating that scale of medical surge requires safe workplaces enforced across the global supply chain. International Labor Organization. The International Labor Organization is the United Nations body that sets labor standards and enforces worker protections. Created in 1919, it uses a tripartite voting system that gives governments, employers, and workers equal voice. The institution now counts 187 members, with offices across 107 nations. The organization has adopted over 190 conventions on issues from forced labor to collective bargaining. It employs 3,381 staff to help governments implement them. The Nobel Peace Prize Committee honored the ILO in 1969 for creating global workplace norms. Those protections stabilize the workforce that keeps the world's food supply moving. Food and Agriculture Organization. The Food and Agriculture Organization is the Rome-based agency leading efforts to defeat hunger and improve nutrition. It was founded on October 16, 1945, and now represents 195 members while operating in over 130 countries. The FAO's 2024 State of Food Security Report found 673 million people experienced hunger that year. That equals 8.2% of humanity, with Africa above 20%. The agency warns that 2.3 billion people still face food insecurity. 500 million could remain undernourished by 2030 without major change. It promotes climate-resilient farming and coordinates World Food Day each October. Feeding people is only half the mission. Preserving culture and knowledge requires a parallel effort. UNESCO. The United Nations Educational, Scientific, and Cultural Organization is the Paris-based guardian of knowledge, science cooperation, and heritage protection. It manages 1,199 World Heritage Sites across 168 countries and safeguards over 700 elements of intangible cultural heritage. UNESCO launched the international campaign to save the monuments of Nubia in 1960, when Egypt's Aswan Dam threatened Abu Simbel. That rescue led to the 1972 World Heritage Convention. The United States rejoined UNESCO in July 2023, reinforcing the mandate to defend press freedom and global education standards. International Civil Aviation Organization. The International Civil Aviation Organization is the rulebook that shifts this briefing from social mandates to technical infrastructure. Operating from Montreal since the Chicago Convention of 1944, it coordinates over 12,000 standards and recommended practices across 19 annexes. Those frameworks guide 193 member states. These standards cover navigation, safety, security, and emissions through frameworks like CORSIA. In April 2024, ICAO amended 15 annexes at once to integrate remotely piloted aircraft systems, the largest aviation regulation overhaul in decades. Every commercial flight follows these rules, and even drone corridors must comply. Financing the airports and runways behind those flights demands multilateral capital capable of decades-long infrastructure lending. World Bank Group. The World Bank Group is the multilateral development bank built from 5 institutions: IBRD, IDA, IFC, MIGA, and ICSID. Together, they aim to eradicate poverty on a livable planet. Created at Bretton Woods in 1944, it now serves 189 member countries. The International Development Association alone supports 78 of the world's poorest countries that house 1.9 billion people. It has delivered $600 billion in concessional finance since 1960. Donors pledged a record $100 billion for IDA 21 in December 2024, with 66% flowing to African nations. That scale of long-term capital underwrites everything from power grids to digital infrastructure. International Monetary Fund. The International Monetary Fund is the lender of last resort for countries facing balance of payments crises. Also born at Bretton Woods, it now monitors financial stability across 191 member states through surveillance, technical assistance, and conditional lending. IMF emergency programs require fiscal reforms in exchange for funds, giving the institution leverage to stabilize currencies and banking systems. In April 2025, it approved a $20 billion extended fund facility for Argentina. That marked the country's 23rd IMF program since 1958. The package aligned with $12 billion from the World Bank and $10 billion from the Inter-American Development Bank. Combined support reached $42 billion. Once finances hold, even basic services like the mail can keep moving. Universal Postal Union. The Universal Postal Union is the global treaty framework that makes one stamp send a letter anywhere. Founded on October 9, 1874 in Bern, it predates the United Nations by 7 decades and now includes 192 member states. The treaty created a single postal territory with uniform rates and equal treatment for domestic and foreign mail. The Quadrennial Universal Postal Congress oversees that framework today. In 2019, the United States nearly withdrew over terminal dues, the fees countries pay to deliver each other's mail. The UPU negotiated reforms that prevented an international postal collapse. International Telecommunication Union. The International Telecommunication Union is the world's oldest international organization. It manages the radio spectrum, satellite orbits, and telecom standards that every network depends on. Founded in 1865 as the International Telegraph Union, it now serves 194 member states. More than 900 sector members from companies and universities also participate. Its radio communication, standardization, and development sectors convene world conferences every 4 years to prevent interference and expand access. At World Radio Communication Conference 2023, delegates opened the 6 GHz band for 5G and future 6G mobile services. Countries representing over 60% of humanity adopted that allocation. Keeping the spectrum orderly allows meteorological data to flow through global networks without interference. World Meteorological Organization. The World Meteorological Organization is the authoritative voice on Earth's atmosphere, ocean interaction, and freshwater distribution. Established in 1950 from the earlier International Meteorological Organization, it unites 193 members behind standardized weather observations. The WMO coordinates over 10,000 surface weather stations and more than 30 weather satellites that feed every forecast and early warning system. Its State of the Global Climate reports have documented 10 consecutive record hot years. The 2024 edition confirmed global average temperatures exceeded 1.5 degrees Celsius above pre-industrial levels for the first time. Those climate warnings drive innovation pipelines that depend on strong intellectual property protections. World Intellectual Property Organization. The World Intellectual Property Organization is the Geneva-based administrator of global patent and trademark systems. Created in 1967 and now counting 194 members, it funds itself through user fees that contribute over 94% of its budget. WIPO operates the Patent Cooperations Treaty and Madrid trademark systems. Those platforms processed 273,900 patent applications and 65,000 trademark filings in 2024. China filed 70,160 PCT applications. The United States submitted 54,087, and Huawei Technologies alone published 6,600 applications. Protecting inventions only matters if rural communities can adopt them. So, IIP systems increasingly support agricultural development finance. If these briefings continue delivering value, subscribe so every new episode reaches the channel feed. International Fund for Agricultural Development. The International Fund for Agricultural Development is the only multilateral institution dedicated exclusively to rural poverty. Established in 1977 after the World Food Conference, it now has 177 member states. Its portfolio spans 92 countries and 40 field offices. IFAD invests low-interest loans and grants in smallholder farmers, climate-resilient agriculture, and rural enterprises. It recognizes that 80% of the world's poorest people live outside cities. Programs like Uganda's Rural Enterprise Development Program have shifted subsistence farmers into market participants, lifting entire communities. Those rural gains build the base for inclusive industrial growth. United Nations Industrial Development Organization. The United Nations Industrial Development Organization is the Vienna-based agency that accelerates inclusive and sustainable industrial development. Created in 1966 as a UN program and upgraded to specialized agency status in 1985, it now includes 172 member states. The network spans 49 field offices and 10 investment and technology promotion offices. The 2013 Lima Declaration codified UNIDO's focus on industrial modernization that benefits entire populations while cutting emissions and waste. Current programs push circular manufacturing, clean energy technology adoption, and trade capacity for developing economies. Industrial growth also fuels services ranging from logistics to tourism. World Tourism Organization. The World Tourism Organization is the Madrid-based agency promoting responsible and universally accessible tourism. It is the only UN-specialized agency headquartered in Spain. The sector it stewards employs 1 in 10 workers worldwide across 160 member countries. UNWTO gathers global tourism statistics, coordinates crisis management, and runs the international network of sustainable tourism observatories to track destination impacts. World Tourism Day on September 27th galvanizes sustainable practices across continents. These standards link directly to maritime safety and decarbonization agendas. International Maritime Organization. The International Maritime Organization is the London-based authority over shipping safety, security, and pollution prevention. Formed in 1948 and operational by 1958, it now includes 176 member states. The body has adopted over 50 conventions alongside more than 1,000 codes. Its Safety of Life at Sea Convention and MARPOL Pollution Treaty govern every cargo vessel, cruise ship, and tanker. In April 2025, the IMO finalized a net zero framework for ships above 5,000 gross tons. It combines mandatory emissions limits and carbon pricing for vessels responsible for 85% of maritime carbon dioxide. The framework takes effect in 2027 to drive net zero shipping by 2050. Regulating that fleet is central to global trade security. International Atomic Energy Agency. The International Atomic Energy Agency is the Atoms for Peace body that verifies nuclear materials stay in civilian programs. Founded on July 29, 1957, it now has 180 member states. It runs safeguards laboratories in Toronto and Tokyo and maintains liaison offices in New York and Geneva. The agency monitors compliance with the Non-Proliferation Treaty, deploys inspectors worldwide, and provides emergency response expertise. Since the Russian invasion of Ukraine, the IAEA has maintained a continuous presence at the Zaporizhzhia nuclear power plant. Director General Rafael Grossi has personally visited the site to manage risks amid active combat. OPCW, the Organization for the Prohibition of Chemical Weapons, is the Hague-based body enforcing the Chemical Weapons Convention. Activated on April 29, 1997, it now includes 193 member states. The organization has overseen the verified destruction of 99% of declared chemical weapon stockpiles. The OPCW operates a fact-finding mission, an investigation, and identification team. Those bodies have issued 21 reports on 74 alleged chemical attacks in Syria. They confirmed chemical weapon use or likely use in 20 cases involving chlorine, sarin, and mustard agents. The organization won the Nobel Peace Prize in 2013 for this work. Which mission most reshapes global stability now that the full 17-agency picture is clear? And will this briefing earn the next subscription?